This is my most talked about design on and off social media, asking to do a tutorial of it. It's turning a fan into a Christmas whimsical chandelier to basically cover up the aesthetic of a fan and make it look nice. A lot of people, like my mother, has the dining furniture right under the fan because she has not switched the chandelier and fan around. So I typically tend to cover it up for her so that it looks nice and doesn't look weird with the Christmas dining tablescape aesthetic. So this year I made it a point to actually record myself and give you a full tutorial on how to cover up this fan. And it's not something you can just do for Christmas. You can cover it up anytime for any time of the year, any season, any holiday, but it's Christmas. My job is to make my mom's house look magical for Christmas Eve party that she throws every year. So let's get to it. You're gonna need a few different items and tools to complete this project. I'm gonna go over it with you now. First important item is floral cutters. This is really important because if you use Christmas tree branches or just florals in general, this is gonna be your best friend. Just some basic scissors. You're gonna want floral wire, and then also fishing line, like that burlap, whatever it's called, twine. That's also really sturdy to hold up the arrangement onto the fan. You're also going to want these wired reef rounds. I got this at Dollar Tree. They're a little bit lighter than the typical ones you buy at the store, which is what you want. You also want to make sure that your fan is actually sturdy enough to hold all this up. And I'm going to show you exactly where to tie and place them so that your fan doesn't come crashing down with all that weight on Christmas Day, which is something we don't want now, so pay attention. All right, so you're gonna get these rounds. Essentially what we're gonna do is create a chandelier effect with these, but we're also going to place chicken wire around almost like a donut so that we can stick the florals in there. You wanna make absolutely sure that you get chicken wire, which is at Home Depot, Lowe's. It would be considered actually poultry netting, not the hard wire netting, okay? So the difference is if you see they have fairly large, is it octagon, pentagon holes? They're really large round holes, okay? This one is not the one that you want. You see how they're little squares? Very hard to stick really thick branches through it. Do not get this one. It specifically needs to say poultry netting. Attached here, the pictures of the pro and the con. Okay, let's get going. Now let's talk about florals. It's greenery because it's Christmas. So I either use like the drooping garlands, I don't know the name of it, versus like the Fraser fir branches. I couldn't find the drooping ones this year, so I'm using the Fraser fir. You can literally go to a Christmas tent that is by your house and you can get all their cuttings for free. So I got a bunch of them for free. I did not spend money on it. The only ones that I spent money on are the tree ferns because they're fluffy, so I can mix them in with the Fraser fir. And then I didn't want super bright red. My mom and I are going for more that trending Ralph Lauren kind of traditional Christmas vibe this year. So I found these at the floral supply. They're actually pepper berries. Yes, like red pepper. They're so pretty and they're so cute. And they smell very peppery, which I guess goes with Christmas a bit. So I added these. These are also really important to note that you want to pick greenery and florals that are not gonna whimper and look sad and soggy the next day, because I am doing this specifically without floral foam. Floral foam is super heavy and just lifting it up above a table can be really wet and a lot of water droplets can get on the table. It's just not something I recommend. Floors do it, but I don't personally like it. These types of greeneries, the Fraser firs, the berries, when they dry up a little bit, they're still very much green and you don't have to worry about it. And you could do this days in advance before Christmas and be perfectly fine. If you see closely, the line directly down the middle, this is where your half point is, okay? It's a little annoying to work with at first because it was obviously in a roll and messing around with it is not fun at first, and you need to be careful before you whack yourself in the face also with it. I've cut myself quite a few times with chicken wire. Working with flowers, you're gonna get scrapes and cuts no matter what, so that is to be expected. Just please be careful when working with it. I'll normally push it down like this as much as I can. I'll like just try to bend it as much as possible so it's not rolling over and flinging in my face. As you can see, I folded it in half. I placed the wreath in there. And now I'm just going to make a donut around it. This is probably going to be your least favorite part, but it's gonna make all the difference once you actually add the florals up there. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and tie the ends now so that I secure them. This is where I start bending it like this. It doesn't have to be a perfect donut. It does not have to be a perfect circle. Afterwards, you're just gonna wanna smush it and compress it. You don't want it to be too big because then you're gonna have to use so many branches. So you're just gonna smush it just like this around. The wreath is just there to essentially help you keep a shape and easier to hang it more evenly when you place it up on the fan. Next, you wanna create a chandelier effect. So essentially the big one is gonna go on top and the smaller one is gonna go directly above the bottom, slightly hanging downward. We want this to be really sturdy, so I'm going to use the leftover wire that the poultry roll was rolled with and kept secure. I'm gonna do 6 points just because I wanna be extra safe. This is very sturdy wire, so we're just gonna go ahead and cut them the exact same length all the way around so that it stays even. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm adding the wire like I did here on, I'm doing this upside down to be easier, but you're gonna start on the inner part of the larger ring to the outer part of the smaller ring. Don't want to do a large wraparound. So what I mean by that is try to be as close to the wire as possible so you don't use up too much of the wire. That way you could do a tighter wraparound for extra security. At the end, you should have a lovely contraption like this. You want to hold it up and see where it's not secure and where it is secure. So as I'm holding it up, I'm realizing that these sides right here are a little wobbly. So I'm going to add one more right here and another one over there to kind of stabilize it a bit. All right, next we are going to go up on the ladder with our chandelier contraption, some scissors and some fishing line, and I'm going to show you how to properly wrap around the fan and what part of the fan you should wrap it around to make sure that it's secure and you're not breaking the fan or breaking off the blades. So let's go on up. So what we're essentially going to be doing is right here at the base of the blades, not on the blades, but the base of the blades. You want to be careful. This is rotating, so try not to mess with it too much and always be sure you don't turn the fan on. So we're going to tie the same level strings on all the bases of the blades beforehand. So when we bring the chandelier mold up, we can go ahead and just tie it and it should be pretty even. So what we're gonna be doing is, you see how I have, well, you can't see the fishing line, but I'm essentially wrapping around it. So you're not gonna wanna do one string. You wanna do essentially a loop. To do this, please be careful while you're doing this. Make sure you have a pretty good grip on your ladder. My mom's ceilings are pretty high, so I think I'm using a 10-foot ladder right now, but be careful, make sure the ladder is not slippery and you're always having one hand like I am here to hold your balance. So you want to balance it. You don't want to just go side to side. What you're going to want to do now is tie the side directly adjacent to the side that you just tied up so you can have that balance and you're not having weight on just one side of the fan as you're working through it. So I'm going to show you right now as a close up how I tied the other side. I take one fishing line and I go under. Well, you can't really see it in the camera, but you're basically causing a crisscross effect. So one's going this way under the green wire. Then you take this side, okay, and you go that way under the wire. So opposite sides. Okay, once we tie it up, it's going to be centered. So last time I had the other type of greenery, they essentially were drooping down. Since I don't have that, I have the Frasers this year. What I want to essentially do is flare up on the top circle and flare down on the bottom circle, because I am trying to cover the blades as much as possible. So it's gonna give a nice two-tone to the chandelier, because the front side of it right here, or the back side, are more of a silvery green, and then the front side is more of an evergreen, which should look really pretty. So we're just gonna go ahead, and this is where you're gonna have to play around to see, okay, can I put a big piece like this? Am I gonna have to cut it up? So we're gonna play around with that right now. This is gonna be flaring up. So I kind of wanna stick it through here. Stick it in as far as possible that the stem could go, because you don't want them falling down, okay? So we're gonna go around and we're gonna do this. Let me see if this one stays up. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and just use these small pieces to fill some areas right here. Then I'm gonna go in with a fluffy tree fern and fill them where they need to go on the berries. So it's just a matter of just going in there and just literally just sticking it in the areas that it needs to go. You wanna really stick them in there good, because you just don't want these pieces falling off on the table either. Especially since they're a lot smaller, you wanna stick them in there. That's leaning, so I'm gonna go in with some floral wire in a second and just lift this part up there. I'm adding the red berries to the top because that is more stable. Okay, so that's one. Now, my mom has a bunch of these red poinsettias, so I'm going to just use some floral wire to tie them up, and then I'm going to add the crystals. For these icicle droplings, I actually found a 30-pack acrylic set on Amazon. They're absolute stunners. I even put them on my Christmas tree, just makes it look all fancy. I just added to some sturdy branches, add some drooping down for the middle and all the way to the top. But overall, this piece is a stunner. It does take a few hours, so just be patient with it, but your guests will talk about it for years to come. As always, remember to follow and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. Everything is linked in my LTK. Bye!